When anxiety flares, take a time out and think about what it is that is making you so nervous. Anxiety is typically experienced as worrying about a future or past event. For example, you may be worried that something bad is going to happen in the future. Perhaps you continually feel upset over an event that has already occurred. Regardless of what you're worried about, a big part of the problem is that you're not being mindful of the present moment. Anxiety loses its grip when you take focus off of your worry and bring your awareness back to the present. The next time your anxiety takes you out of the present, regain control by sitting down and taking a few deep breaths. Taking a moment to stop and breathe can help restore a sense of personal balance and bring you back to the present moment. In order to get to the root of your anxiety, you need to figure out what's bothering you. You can do this by putting some time aside to explore your thoughts and feelings. Exploring your feelings can also be helpful when you're coping with anxiety. Make it a habit to regularly uncover and express your feelings of anxiety. Many times, anxiety stems from fearing things that haven't happened or may never occur. For example, even though everything is okay, you may still worry about potential issues, such as losing your job, becoming ill, or the safety of your loved ones. Life can be unpredictable, and no matter how hard you try, you can't always control what happens. However, you can decide how you're going to deal with the unknown. You can turn your anxiety into a source of strength by letting go of fear and focusing on gratitude. Replace your fears by changing your attitude about them. For example, stop fearing to lose your job and instead focus on how grateful you are to have a job. Come to work determined to do your best. Instead of fearing your loved one's safety, spend time with them or express your appreciation of them. With a little practice, you can learn to dump your anxiety and pick up a more positive outlook. At times, your anxiety may actually be caused by a real circumstance in your life. Perhaps you're in a situation where it's realistic to be worried about losing your job due to high company layoffs or talks of downsizing. When anxiety is identified as being caused by a current problem, then taking action may be the answer to reducing your anxiety. Another way to cope with anxiety is to focus on the things you can change. By being more proactive, you can feel like you have a bit more control over your situation. At times, it may be most helpful to simply redirect yourself to focus on something other than your anxiety. You may want to reach out to others, do some work around your home, or engage in an enjoyable activity or hobby. When you're feeling anxious, look for ways to take your mind off of your feelings of worry, stress, or anxiety. Lifestyle changes can also be helpful for preventing anxiety and helping you cope with anxiety flares. What you eat, how much you sleep, and your physical activity levels can all have an influence on how you experience anxiety. Mood and stress levels can be affected by what you eat. People who consume diets rich in fruits and vegetables, for example, tend to experience lower stress levels. Regular physical activity can also be useful for both alleviating and preventing anxiety. One study found that physical exercise had a protective effect against anxiety disorders and significantly reduced symptoms of anxiety. Sleep can also have a powerful effect on your mental well-being and anxiety levels. Problems with sleep are one risk factor for developing anxiety disorders, including generalized anxiety disorder. Even short-term disruptions in your sleep may lead to increased levels of stress and anxiety. Taking care of your mind and body may also be helpful for preventing and relieving anxiety. To combat anxiety, focus on eating a healthy diet, engage in regular physical exercise, and get enough rest. Look after yourself. Exercise regularly, getting enough sleep, eating healthily, limiting alcohol and caffeine intake, and avoiding recreational drugs can all go a long way to improve your mood and reducing anxiety. Staying active socially is important too. As social beings, keeping in touch with friends and family is a vital cog in maintaining good well-being. Breathe deeply. When we get anxious, our body's fight-or-flight response is activated. However, calming techniques for anxiety like breathing exercises can help the body settle down to a more natural state and help to get rid of the physical signs of anxiety, including panic attacks. Try and take a deep breath in through your nose for 4 seconds, feeling your stomach and chest rise as you do so. Hold your breath for 3 seconds, and then breathe out through your mouth for 6 seconds, imagining you're breathing away any tension. Do this 3 times in a row, and you'll probably find that you're feeling a lot calmer. Challenge your anxious thoughts. Our mind can play tricks on us when we're anxious, which means our thinking can end up distorted. For example, an abrupt email from your boss might make you think you've made a mistake, or a friend not texting you back may lead you to think they're not talking to you. However, before you accept thoughts like this, which will fuel your anxiety, ask yourself whether the thought is a fact or an opinion. If it's an opinion, you may be getting anxious for nothing. Test out your assumptions. Often we get anxious about things we're making a negative prediction about what will happen. For example, You might be anxious about going to a party on your own because you think no one will talk to you. However, if you test this out, it's likely that you'll prove yourself wrong, showing that there was nothing to be anxious about in the first place. Don't avoid things that make you anxious. Anxiety is an uncomfortable emotion, and many people fall into the trap of avoiding the thing or situation they fear. However, when you avoid situations, you're not dealing with your anxiety. So try facing your fear instead of avoiding it. It's likely you'll feel anxious at first, but if you repeatedly face it, your body adjusts to the thing you fear and your anxiety naturally reduces. People with anxiety disorder often have low self-esteem. Feeling worthless can make the anxiety worse in many ways. It can trigger a passive style of interacting with others and foster a fear of being judged harshly. Low self-esteem may be related to the impact of the anxiety disorder on your life. Being assertive means communicating your needs, wants, feelings, beliefs, and opinions to others in a direct and honest manner without intentionally hurting anyone's feelings. A person with an anxiety disorder may have trouble being assertive because they are afraid of conflict or believe they have no right to speak up. However, relating passively to others lowers self-confidence and reinforces anxiety. Learning to behave assertively is central to developing a stronger self-esteem. Anxiety is not a medical disease or a genetic disorder or a way of being. It's not an excuse or a death sentence. You're not your anxiety. Millions of people with anxiety are walking around believing that they've got a disease. They wear it like a cape that covers them and drags them down and impacts everything they do. But anxiety is a learned and adapted physical and mental response to a world that's full of threats and disconnection, perceived or real. It's a fear that the future and a fear of things you cannot control. Anxiety is your body's way of trying to take care of you, and since you learned it, it can be unlearned. Anxiety is not who you are. It's a way you experience the world. It's the warning signal that you're disconnected from your loved ones and that the world you've been placed in or that you created for yourself is on fire. You can only control two things in the world: your thoughts and your actions. That's it. Make a choice to spend your energy growing in strength and character and learning to take ownership of your thoughts and actions and the choices you make as a result. In order to take control, first you need to identify what's within your control and what's outside of your control. Learning to control and direct your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions is a hard but holy adventure. It can take a lifetime, but no matter how challenging, your thoughts and actions can be tamed. It just takes strength and practice, like working out a muscle. You cannot get through your life alone. You must be in relationship with other people. This is not just a cute quote or a cliche Instagramism. This is science. This is truth. True relationships and connection are the emergency fund of your life. It's not a question of if challenging times will occur. It's when. You can count on it. Relationships and community cushion your crash and encourage true healing. Don't turn to a screen before or after your alarm start to sound. Don't text. Don't tweet. See someone face to face. Hear a real voice. Our bodies are designed to regulate themselves and calm down by interacting with other people, in person. Unresolved conflict can be a huge source of anxiety. Do you need to forgive someone for the hurt they've caused you? Do you need to forgive yourself for a mistake that haunts you? Unforgiveness leads to bitterness, and it's been said that bitterness is the poison we drink hoping someone else will die. Don't carry the bricks of bitterness or anger. Set the bricks down. Choose to forgive. Finding peace of mind isn't about erasing every uncomfortable emotion or thought. It's about braving the rapids for stiller waters. Numbing, suppressing, and avoiding discomfort and anxiety will only make everything worse. Don't run from or judge your feelings. Instead, be compassionate and curious. Sometimes, simply giving yourself permission to call it like it is will allow you to feel tremendous relief. The only way to deal with fear is to face it. Avoiding our fears only prevents us from moving forward. It makes us anxious. But be gentle with yourself and do only what feels safe for you. If you find yourself getting more panicky, take a break and find something pleasant or comforting to notice or do. Fear causes us to notice and remember negative events, which reinforces our sense that the world is a scary place. We can work to change that by deliberately noticing what is positive, the joy we feel when we see someone we love, the pleasure of a sunny day, the beauty in nature, the fun of an outing, the humor in a situation. Thinking the same things over and over and worrying makes us feel like we're doing something important. We get a false sense of accomplishment from these mental scenarios. Preparing for the worst, rehearsing disaster, or practicing imaginary hard conversations we'll never have in real life. Hear me clearly. Ruminating and worrying are a complete waste of time. They do nothing except leave us feeling more helpless and anxious. But here's the exciting thing. We can learn to control our thoughts. We get to decide where we fix our attention. Pay attention to the thoughts running through your mind and redirect them to something actually true and pleasant and good to think about.